Learn essential intermediate English words. Abandon. Meaning, to leave something or someone behind. Example, due to the sudden blizzard, he had no choice but to abandon his car on the roadside and walk several miles to the nearest shelter. Adapt. Meaning, to adjust or modify to suit new conditions. Example, moving to a new country can be challenging, but she learned to adapt quickly to the culture, climate, and language, which helped her settle in faster than expected. Adverse. Meaning, unfavorable or harmful. Example, the hikers had to postpone their trip because of the adverse weather conditions, which included heavy rain, lightning, and strong winds that made the trail dangerous. Ample. Meaning, more than enough. Example, the hotel room offered ample space for a family of 4, including a large sitting area, a dining table, and 2 queen-sized beds, making the stay very comfortable. Appeal. Meaning, to make a serious or urgent request. Example. During the charity event, the organizer made an emotional appeal for donations, urging people to help the children who had lost everything in the flood. Assess. Meaning, to evaluate or estimate the nature of something. Example, before making a final decision, the manager took time to assess the situation by gathering all the facts and listening to the opinions of his team members. Baffle. Meaning, to confuse or puzzle. Example, the detective was completely baffled by the lack of evidence at the crime scene, despite having a strong belief that someone had broken into the house. Benign. Meaning, gentle and kind. Example, the doctor confirmed that the lump was benign and not dangerous, bringing a huge sense of relief to the patient and her worried family. Bias. Meaning, a preference that prevents fair judgment. Example, the journalist was criticized for showing bias in her article, as she only presented one side of the argument and ignored the opposing views. Candid. Meaning, honest and straightforward. Example. In her autobiography, she was very candid about the challenges she faced growing up in poverty and how those experiences shaped her into a stronger person. Commence. Meaning, to begin or start something. Example, the graduation ceremony will commence at 10 a.m., and all students are expected to be seated by 9:45 to avoid any delays. Conclude. Meaning, to bring something to an end or finish. Example, after hours of discussion and debate, they were finally able to conclude the meeting with a clear plan for the next steps. Contribute. Meaning, to give something, such as time or effort, to help achieve a goal. Example, each member of the community was asked to contribute their ideas to improve the park, making it a more welcoming place for families. Cope. Meaning, to deal effectively with something difficult. Example, even though she was going through a tough time after losing her job, she managed to cope by staying positive and focusing on finding new opportunities. Crucial. Meaning, extremely important or essential. Example. It is crucial that you submit your application before the deadline, as late submissions will not be accepted under any circumstances. Deteriorate. Meaning, to become worse over time. Example, the old building began to deteriorate after years of neglect, with cracked walls and leaking ceilings becoming more common. Distinct. Meaning, clearly different or separate. Example, the twins may look similar, but they have distinct personalities. One is very outgoing while the other is shy and reserved. Elaborate. Meaning, to explain in detail. Example, during the presentation, the speaker took time to elaborate on the key points, making sure everyone understood the main ideas. Emphasize. Meaning, to give special importance or attention to something. Example, the teacher continued to emphasize the importance of practicing daily, reminding students that consistent effort leads to improvement. Endure. Meaning, to suffer through something painful or difficult for a long time. Example. Despite the harsh conditions, the soldiers had to endure freezing temperatures and long marches to complete their mission. Evaluate. Meaning, to judge or assess the value or quality of something. Example. Before choosing which laptop to buy, she took time to evaluate all the options by comparing prices, features, and customer reviews. Exaggerate. Meaning, to describe something as larger or more important than it really is. Example. He tends to exaggerate his achievements, often making small successes sound like groundbreaking discoveries. Exclude. Meaning, to leave someone or something out. Example. It's not fair to exclude her from the trip just because she joined the club a little later than the others. Exhaust. Meaning, to make someone extremely tired. Example. After working a 12-hour shift at the hospital without a proper break, she was completely exhausted and could barely keep her eyes open. Frustrate. Meaning, to make someone feel annoyed or upset due to obstacles. Example. The constant internet interruptions began to frustrate him, especially when he was in the middle of important video meetings. Generous. Meaning, willing to give or share more than expected. Example. She was known for being generous, often paying for her friends' meals and donating to local charities without hesitation. Hesitate. Meaning, to pause before doing something because of uncertainty or fear. Example. He began to hesitate before entering the room, unsure whether he was ready to face the interview panel. Humble. Meaning, not proud or arrogant, modest. Example. Despite winning several awards, she remained humble and always credited her team for the success. Illustrate. Meaning, to explain or make something clear by giving examples. Example. The teacher used a real-life story to illustrate the importance of time management to her students. Inevitable. Meaning, certain to happen, unavoidable. Example. With dark clouds gathering and strong winds picking up, it became clear that a thunderstorm was inevitable. Influence. Meaning, the power to affect how someone thinks or behaves. Example. His father had a strong influence on his career choice, inspiring him to become a teacher just like him. Inspire. Meaning, to motivate someone to do something creative or positive. Example. The story of the girl who overcame poverty to become a doctor truly inspired millions of people around the world. Justify. Meaning, to give a good reason for something. Example. She tried to justify her absence by explaining that she had a family emergency that required her immediate attention. Manipulate. Meaning, to control or influence someone or something in a clever or unfair way. Example. He tried to manipulate the conversation so that everyone agreed with his opinion without realizing they were being led. Neglect. Meaning, to fail to take care of something properly. Example. Over the years, the old mansion fell into ruins because the owner had completely neglected its maintenance and repairs. Obtain. Meaning, to get or acquire something. Example. She worked hard to obtain a scholarship for college so her parents wouldn't have to worry about the fees. Participate. Meaning, to take part in an activity. Example. All students were encouraged to participate in the annual science fair by creating their own projects and presenting them. Persuade. Meaning, to convince someone to do or believe something. Example. He managed to persuade his parents to let him go on the trip by showing them how safe and educational it would be. Precise. Meaning, exact or accurate in detail. Example. the surgeon made a precise incision to avoid damaging any surrounding nerves, which required great skill and concentration. Recommend. Meaning, to suggest something as the best option. Example, the doctor strongly recommended that she take a break from work and get plenty of rest to fully recover from her illness. Reflect. Meaning, to show or express an image, idea, or feeling. Example, his writing often reflects his deep love for nature and the peaceful life he experienced in his village as a child. Reluctant. Meaning, unwilling or hesitant to do something. Example, she was reluctant to speak in front of the class, but her teacher encouraged her and promised support throughout her speech. Respond. Meaning, to reply or answer. Example, when the teacher asked a question, only a few students responded quickly, while the rest needed more time to think. Reveal. Meaning, to make something known that was hidden or unknown. Example, the final chapter of the book revealed a shocking secret about the main character that changed the entire story. Scarce. Meaning, rare or hard to find, in short supply. Example. In the desert, water is scarce, so travelers must carry enough with them to survive the long, dry journey. Sufficient. Meaning, enough to meet the need. Example, although he didn't score the highest marks, his performance was sufficient to pass the exam and move on to the next level. Tolerate. Meaning, to accept something unpleasant without complaint. Example, she learned to tolerate the noisy environment in her neighborhood by using earplugs and staying focused on her tasks. Vary. Meaning, to differ or change from one case to another. Example, the prices of fruits and vegetables can vary greatly depending on the season and where they are bought. Withdraw. Meaning, to take something back or remove oneself from a situation. Example, she decided to withdraw from the competition after injuring her ankle, even though she had trained for months. Adjust. Meaning, to change something slightly to make it better or more suitable. Example, when he moved to a new city, it took him a few weeks to adjust to the different climate and lifestyle. Admire. Meaning, to respect or look up to someone for their qualities or achievements. Example, I truly admire her dedication to helping others, even when she faces her own challenges. Analyze. Meaning, to examine something carefully in detail to understand it better. Example, the scientists spent several months analyzing the data to find patterns that could help explain the unusual results. Assume. Meaning, to believe something to be true without proof. Example, don't just assume he's not interested, you should ask him directly before jumping to conclusions. Clarify. Meaning, to make something clear or easier to understand. Example, the teacher paused to clarify the instructions so that every student would know exactly what to do for the assignment. Collapse. Meaning, to fall down suddenly, often because of weakness or failure. Example, after hiking for hours in the hot sun without enough water, he almost collapsed from exhaustion. Demonstrate. Meaning, to show or explain how something works. Example, the chef demonstrated how to make the perfect pasta dough by carefully mixing the ingredients and kneading it in front of the class. Determine. Meaning, to decide something after considering all the facts. Example, the committee will determine who gets the scholarship based on academic performance, leadership, and financial need. Discipline. Meaning, the practice of training oneself to follow rules or stay in control. Example, with strong discipline and daily practice, she managed to wake up early every morning to study before school started. Emphasize. Meaning, to give special importance to something. Example, During the meeting, the manager emphasized the importance of teamwork and clear communication for the success of the project. Encounter. Meaning, to unexpectedly meet or face something. Example, while hiking through the forest, they encountered a wild deer standing quietly between the trees. Encourage. Meaning, to give support or confidence to someone. Example, her parents always encouraged her to follow her dreams, no matter how difficult the path seemed. Expand. Meaning, to make something larger or increase in size. Example, the company plans to expand its services to new countries next year due to growing international demand. Express. Meaning, to show feelings, thoughts, or ideas through words or actions. Example, he found it hard to express his emotions, so he started writing poems to let his feelings out. Interrupt. Meaning, to stop someone from speaking or doing something. Example, she didn't mean to interrupt, but she had an urgent question that couldn't wait until the end of the discussion. Investigate. Meaning, to carefully examine something, especially to discover the truth. Example, the police had to investigate the matter thoroughly before concluding what actually caused the accident. Maintain. Meaning, to keep something in good condition or continue doing it. Example, it's important to maintain a balanced diet and regular exercise routine to stay healthy over time. Motivate. To inspire or encourage someone to take action. Example, her teacher's kind words and belief in her abilities motivated her to study harder and aim for top marks in the exam. Negotiate. Meaning, to discuss in order to reach an agreement. Example, the two companies had to negotiate for several weeks before they finally agreed on the terms of the partnership. Observe. Meaning, to watch something carefully. Example, scientists observed the behavior of the animals in their natural environment without disturbing them, gathering important information for their research. Organize. Meaning, to arrange things in a neat or structured way. Example, she organized her schedule so well that she could manage both her job and her online course without feeling stressed. Postpone. Meaning, to delay something to a later time. Example, due to heavy rain, the school decided to postpone the sports day events until the weather improved. Pretend. Meaning, to act as if something is true when it is not. Example, the little boy pretended to be a superhero, wearing a cape and running around the house saving imaginary people. Recognize. Meaning, to identify someone or something seen before. Example, I didn't recognize her at first because she had changed so much since we last met 5 years ago. Recommend. Meaning, to suggest something is good or suitable. Example, the librarian recommended a wonderful mystery novel that turned out to be one of the best books I've ever read.